to the regular council session for February the 10th, 2025, and remind everyone that this meeting will be recorded for public access and viewing. With that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt the agenda. However, we do have one modification, adding under the notice of the motion 12.5 RDC project. With that, do I have consensus from the council on moving forward with that?
Yeah. I'll move that.
Don't need a motion, there's just a consensus on that. Now do I have a motion to accept the agenda? Moved by Councillor Colwell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gallant. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. With that, I'll remind everyone that there is conflict of interest forms in the middle of the table. Please fill it out if you do have any conflicts this evening on anything on the agenda and pass it into the clerk. With that, we will move on to item number 4, adoption of the minutes. And item number 4.1, the regular council meeting of December the 9th, 2024. We have a motion to adopt the minutes, so moved by Councillor Blinas, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? No questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Moving on to item 4.2, special council meeting held December the 12th, 2024. We have a motion to adopt those minutes.
So moved.
So moved by Councillor Bannister, seconded by Councillor Dottori. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Moving on to item 4.3, special council meeting held December the 30th, 2024. Motion to adopt those minutes. Moved by Councillor Thorne, seconded by Councillor Colwell. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Moving on to item 4.4, special council meeting held January the 16th, 2025. We have a motion to adopt those minutes.
So moved.
So moved by Deputy Mayor Gallant, seconded by Councillor Bannister. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Moving on to item 4.5, committee of the whole, meeting held January the 27th, 2025. Do I have a motion to adopt those minutes?
So moved.
It's moved by Councillor Bannister, seconded by Councillor Roblinas. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Moving on to item number 5 in your council package, you would have received your consent agenda items. With that, do I have a motion to accept those consent agenda items? So moved by Councillor Dottori, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gallant. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. All right, moving on to public and administrative presentations. Moving on to item 6.1, and that is the request for educational fund donation.
So as council would have seen the memo, and as council knows, in December, we lost a member of the fire department, and there was a request for donations to be made to 2 essentially charities or causes of choice, one of which is the Fire Department Association, the second of which is the an education fund for the daughter of the late member. So with that, there is a recommendation that council make a contribution to the education fund, which is outside of the parameters or the authorization of the CAO and the mayor under the grant policy. So with that, there's a recommendation on the floor, and then any questions.
I move that council approve a one-time contribution of $1,500 to the education fund of Mackenzie Dryden, the daughter of the late Tim Dryden, a long-serving member of the Salisbury Fire Rescue Department, who passed unexpectedly in December 2024.
Second it.
Can we just all second it?
Yeah.
That's quicker, but so moved by Deputy Mayor Gallant, seconded by Councillor Bannister. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. Thank you, everyone. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Moving on to 6.2, grant request, Tri-City Tide basketball teams.
So also as included in the package, this is a request that falls outside of the parameters of the mayor and CAO's authorization under the grant policy. The Tri-City Tide is a basketball team that's starting up in Moncton, or in the tri-community, I guess, hence the name. And the town was approached to make a sponsorship, which essentially is considered for all intents and purposes a grant request for our perspective. And with that, there's a recommendation on the floor, and then we can answer any questions as well.
Move that council direct administration that a sponsorship under the town of Salisbury grant program is not possible at this time.
I second it.
So moved by Councillor Dexter, seconded by Councillor Bannister. Questions to the motion? Questions to the motion? All in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. Moving on to reports and recommendations from the Committee of the Whole, January 27th, 2025, item 7.1. Recommendations.
So as always, we'll read a short background from items, either a committee of the whole or from closed or private session. And then there will also be a recommendation on the floor. So during the committee of the whole meeting of January 27th, Town Council was provided with the proposed policy that governs the town's residential development incentive program. The program will be launched upon ratification, with promotions to begin following the ratification. The program will operate as a pilot project with annual allotments that may vary from year to year, and with the program having the potential to adapt and or cease at any point based on uptake and success of the program. The town anticipates this program will be extremely popular and will therefore exhaust funds within the program on an annual basis. With that, there's a recommendation on the floor.
I move the council approve the residential development incentive program.
Seconded.
So moved by Councillor Bannister, seconded by Councillor Dykstra. Questions to the motion? Being no questions to the motion, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Next one is from November 25th. So during the committee of the whole meeting on November 25th, Salisbury Town Council discussed a proposed on-call policy that would govern the standby or call-out status of municipal employees to respond to after-hour emergencies. The policy and compensation was developed based on a review of comparable municipalities. With that recommendation on the floor.
I move the council adopt the on-call policy to be effective March 1st, 2025.
Seconded.
Item 7.2, moved by Councillor Detory, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? Seeing no questions to the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Moving on to slide 7.3.
So this is closed session from April 8th. So during the closed session of April 8th, 2024, Town Council discussed a proposed lease for the Salisbury Lions Club pool. Since 2022, the town has been operating the pool under a memorandum of understanding, or MOU, between the municipality and the Lions Club. However, to formalize the long-term leasing relationship, a formal lease to be registered on the property has been prepared. The lease is for 5 years, renewable for an additional 5, and outlines the responsibilities of each party, which will include the town maintaining the operational requirements of the facility, which includes programming, hiring, and routine and standard maintenance. With that, a recommendation on the floor.
I'll move that council approve the lease between the town of Salisbury and the Lions Club of Salisbury Incorporated with respect to the Salisbury Lions Club pool for a 5-year term, renewable for an additional 5 years, and authorize the mayor and clerk / treasurer to sign the agreement and fix the corporate seal accordingly.
Seconded.
So moved by Councillor Oblina, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? No questions? All in favor? Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. With that, we'll move on to item number 8, reports from administration. 8.1, award of SOLS 2025-02.
So as council knows, in our capital plan, the intent is to replace the recreation and wellness pickup truck this year, which is by far on its last legs. Cannot believe it's made it to February 10th. But on January 2nd, requests for quotes were issued to 4 vendors for the vehicle. 4 submissions were received, 2 of which are from the same provider, one of which is essentially on the lot, one of which factory ordered, with a difference of $100. And it's a budget item in our capital plan, and with that, there is a recommendation on the floor.
I'll move that council award RFQ SALS 2025-02 4x4 crew cab pickup truck purchase to Lansbury Chevrolet Moncton in the amount of $53,535.50, excluding HST. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved by Councillor Thorne, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gallant. Questions to the motion?
Factory ordering, is that gonna cause delay in receiving?
It won't cause delay, it'll cause more delay than being readily available, but the timing in terms of if the quote was honored is longer. So like we would have had to tell them right away, we need a motion of council. So we couldn't do the on the lot. And the difference of factory order, there's no deviations from the specs. So it'll get here when it gets here, but it's not like COVID times when it takes.
Yeah,
Eight
but if
weeks.
it's 3 months, then you're gonna have issues, and the $600 for the GMC makes more sense to me.
Then you can amend the motion, but we don't have, we
Just saying.
can't
If
recommend
you get caught with your
not
pants
the lowest
down,
one.
that's fine, but.
Yeah.
Additional questions?
Seems like a really good price.
Yeah, I think it was lower
Yeah,
than the one that we bought last year, I think, or year before, whenever that was, yeah. Yeah.
No, there's no qualms.
Obviously, great.
Yeah.
Any additional questions? No additional questions, all in favor? Contrary minded?
That one's seconded by Glenn, right? Sorry.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Motion carried. Moving on to item number 8.2, award of Sols 2024-13, drilling of 3 domestic wells.
So as council knows, the town has funding under RDC's pre-infrastructure housing fund to explore the feasibility of residential development on about 28 acres of town-owned land. As part of that, we will have to eventually do what's called a water source supply assessment, or a WASA study. However, that involves drilling of wells as well. And quotes were procured earlier, late last year, I guess, now that we're in the new calendar year, for the drilling of 3 wells, which are what is required for the water study. At this point in time, we do not have a date of when those wells will actually be drilled, but we do need authorization of council, given the dollar value, to do them. They are eligible under the RDC funding. It's just a sake of determining if the province will permit us to drill them based on our ongoing conversations around an EIA determination for the project. So this will give the authorization for us to proceed if the province comes back and gives the green light, which is expected soon-ish, hopefully, depending on their timelines. And the intent of when you do drill these wells, are that they are able to be used in an eventual development or future development. But for all intents and purposes right now, for the water study itself.
I'll move that following the request for estimates issued in the fall of 2024, council authorized administration to retain Hawks well drilling and pump service pending the approval of the Department of Environment and local government for the drilling of 3 domestic wells and to be used in the eventual water supply source assessment report for the Sunrise Twilight subdivision at an estimated cost of $36,750 based on the anticipated depth of 70 meters each, recommended by the town's hydrogeological engineers.
Good job.
Right, seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Bannister.
You are hydrologist?
In brackets, it should be like, not Austin.
Yeah, there you go.
So I guess my question is, those 3 wells, will they be strategically located to be
Yes.
sold off in lots?
Yeah, they'll be, the
then
intent is
cost
that they
and
can be recouped.
Recouped and then sold off,
Yeah.
amended to those priced
Right.
lots to recoup the cost.
Right.
Wonderful.
Additional questions? Seeing no additional questions, all in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Moving on to item 8.3, petition regarding 502 Sanatorium Road rezoning.
So as council also knows, we're in the midst of processing a rezoning request at 502 Sanatorium. This agenda item is not for decision this evening. It's just a place on the agenda for matter of public record. But we received a second petition on the matter, this one in favor of the proposed rezoning. As council would recall, in December, when we had the special meeting, we also received a petition against the proposed rezoning. Our procedural bylaw deals with how we address petitions in the context of rezonings. In that case, what we did was address 3 of the items in the procedural bylaw, which was addressed at the council meeting, which was that meeting, the special meeting in December, circulated to council, and also provide essentially the sponsor of the petition with a response from staff. And so we are dealing with this petition in the same way. So no decision this evening, unless there are any questions. It's just for the sake of including it, as part of public record, given it's an ongoing, rezoning request, in front of council. And no motion unless there's questions.
I don't have a question, but I have a letter that I'd like to read too. So would that go here or would that go?
Is it related to this?
It is related to this, but,
I would,
Be part of the question.
or will it go under the,
It would
counselor's,
go under council.
counselor's statement?
yeah, it would go, yeah,
Inquiries.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you.
So that we don't need a motion to accept this?
No, there's nothing to it. It's just, it's just for public record.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it has, normally we put on the consent agenda, but,
that's why I wondered that.
yeah, our procedural bylaw states when we receive petitions, it goes under this section
Okay.
of the agenda. That's all.
Fair enough. With that, we'll move on to item number 9, bylaws, item 9.1, first and second, reading.
I'll give,
The repeal bylaws, sorry.
I'll just give a quick spiel before we go into the first and second readings of all 4 of them. Diane, will, once we have the motion of council, Diane will do the first and second reading by title only. And then in the coming days, we'll issue the public notice online, as required under the Local Governance Act, to officially give the summary of the proposed bylaws. So there's 4 on the table this evening.
Don't all jump at once.
Don't all jump at once.
I move that council give first and second reading to the bylaw titled bylaw number 13, a bylaw to repeal numerous bylaws of the former village of Salisbury.
Seconded.
Oh, by title only.
Oh, by title only.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Glant, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? See no questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Minded, motion carried. Moving on to item 9 point, or sorry.
You gotta read it.
You have to have fun. Didn't want to take away your show.
She's a little.
So bylaw
Yeah.
number 13, so first reading of bylaw number 13 by title only, a bylaw to repeal numerous bylaws of the former village of Salisbury. Second reading, bylaw number 13, a bylaw to repeal numerous bylaws of the former village of Salisbury. Again, these are all posted online for people to review, and things can change before third reading.
Want us? All right, moving on to item 9.2, first and second readings, noise bylaw.
I move the council give first and second reading to the bylaw title, bylaw number 14, a bylaw of the municipality of Salisbury relating to the prevention of excessive noise by title only.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Bannister, seconded by Councillor Dykstra. Questions to the motion? So no questions to the motion. All in favor? Contrary minded? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. On your fun stuff.
So bylaw number 14, a bylaw of the municipality of Salisbury relating to the prevention of excessive noise. First reading, and then second reading by title only, bylaw number 14, a bylaw of the municipality of Salisbury relating to the prevention of excessive noise. Again, bylaw is on our website and available if anybody wants to review it before third reading.
Moving on to item 9.3, first and second readings, traffic bylaw.
I move the council give first and second reading to the bylaw titled bylaw number 15, a bylaw of the municipality of Salisbury relating to traffic by title only.
Moved by Tori, seconded by.
I can't, no, I think it was Thorne, but I'm
One
not
of
sure if it was Thorne or Williams, but. Sorry, I'm still looking at the screen, I'm like seeing it pop up, so, moved by Councillor Tory, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
And first reading of bylaw number 15, a bylaw of the municipality of Salisbury relating to traffic. Second reading by title only, a bylaw number 15, a bylaw of the municipality of Salisbury relating to traffic. And once again, on our website, available on, if somebody wants to come in and take a look, and changes can be made prior to the third reading in it.
Moving on to item 9.4, first and second readings, revised ATV bylaw.
I'll move that council have first and second reading of the revised ATV bylaw, being bylaw number 8, a bylaw respecting the operation of all-terrain vehicles in Salisbury by title only.
Moved by Councillor Dykstra, seconded by Councillor Colwell. Questions to the motion?
Congratulations.
This is just gonna go back to the province
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
We're getting
Yeah,
there.
we might talk about this again.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Any additional questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Not very minded.
You seem so agitated.
Well, that, I think was the previous council that we started with.
So, first reading by title only, a bylaw number 8, a bylaw respecting the operation of all-terrain vehicles in Salisbury. Reading number 2, a bylaw number 8, a bylaw respecting the operation of all-terrain vehicles in Salisbury. Again, they will be posted online, available for people to review, and can be changed minorly up until third reading.
So with that, we are going to be going into a closed session, financial 68(1)(c) of the Local Governance Act. With that, I will have to quickly ask members of the gallery if they will have to leave after we make the motion. So we have a motion to go into
So
closed.
moved.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Bannister, seconded by Councillor Vittori, I believe. All in favor, question of the motion? Any questions to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, much reminded, motion carried. We're now entering into. All right, and may I have a motion to return back into the regular council session?
So
please?
moved.
By Councillor Vittori, seconded by Councillor Bannister. Any questions to the motion? Seeing no questions to the motion, all in favor? Much reminded. We are now back into the regular council session. We'll move on to item number 11. Mayor and council statements / inquiries. I have nothing to report. Councillor Bannister.
I have a letter to you guys, just in regards to 502 rezoning. So if I can read it, I will be quick. Okay, so as everyone knows, on March the 10th, we will be voting on the first and the second reading in regard to the application for rezoning of 502 Sanatorium Road from rural to commercial industrial. Given that I represent the residents of Ward 2, specifically this residential community called the Glades, and how strongly they feel about this application, I am taking a page from Councillor Vittori's playbook. This letter will speak on both my residents' behalf and at the end, my own behalf. I'm not going to go through the detail, at least not in great detail. The many objections that residents have to this application, because all of you here at council have heard them, or you've listened to them. I have spent countless hours of time on this issue with residents, responding to their calls, messages, emails, and several face-to-face meetings, more than any other specific matter in the 2 years I've been in council. What I have heard from our residents is their choice to live in a rural environment and the lifestyle that it offers. This lifestyle, by their overwhelming account, does not include the introduction of this industrial commercial enterprise. Another huge concern for me related to this is that if this is approved without the town adopting a proper land use and zoning plan for our complete town, this will not be the end of more and more of these applications. Whether it be this kind of operation or others like, that will turn more rural land and our downtown land into commercial industrial, affecting their chosen lifestyles. Without a formal town plan, no one here can deny the serious possibility of major consequences of this vote. Because without our municipal plan being complete, we are simply not ready. Another point that I am reminded of is that they, the residents, are paying the freight. It is these people who have for years been the source of revenue through their property taxes, and they have a right to not only be heard, but for their voices, for their community of the Glades to be respected, and that those voices are to be the first and foremost important source of information when council makes decisions. They have by far put more sweat equity into their community more than anyone else. Arguments about filters and limited water usage and a discrete location surrounded by trees or comments by other communities don't register because they don't understand. The fact is, none of this is the real crux of the issue for the residents. They want a certain lifestyle that they have given their blood, sweat, and sometimes tears, for they and their families have been part of that community for generations. They have made it clear this application doesn't fit that lifestyle, and secondly, they want to have a say on what does and what doesn't matter. I am the counselor for Ward 2. Our residents have, with the loudest voice possible, told me what they want and what they don't want. I have made it clear to them that I have heard and that I will honor and support their desire for their community. On March the 10th, I will be voting no on an issue of significance for my ward and my community. With the information we have to date and the realization we have not completed a full municipal plan that includes our rural areas outside of the former village, I am hoping that you vote the same way. I am also requesting that the meeting be moved to the Lions Center for March the 10th and the announcement be done as soon as possible. I thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Councilor Bannister. Any additional council comments? Or inquiries?
I was just gonna mention that our senior girls are playing sectionals this weekend,
Yes,
Woodstock, so good luck for them. And we've been part of this of all the teams, so.
well, I think, again, I didn't get a statement, but I would like to congratulate the JV boys and the senior boys on an amazing weekend that they had. I watched the games online and I think we have a lot to be proud about and a great future ahead, so
Yeah, it's good, it's good.
kudos to you and all your work.
And the U11 won the Stanley Cup this weekend. That's Jason Wilson, who runs the special care home.
We're gonna have to build a new
His
building
team.
just for all the banners they keep winning every weekend.
That's amazing.
So they won the Stanley Cup in Stanley. That's why we call it
Yeah.
the Stanley Cup.
It was. But I wasn't joking. It seemed like every weekend they're winning a banner somewhere. It's pretty cool. Any other councilor comments?
Oh, I want to make a comment. I brought up the other day, last meeting about, logging trucks going down. So I did get a response, first an email response that I shared with Austin. And then I had one of the officers call me. And, just a couple of points of reference in case anyone else gets any inquiries from residents, is that, he told me that while they can drive up and down Coverdale Road, including going toward Moncton, with an empty load to go and get a load. Once they get a load, they shouldn't be driving in that direction at all because of the weight. So, and while he was talking to me, he was actually, sort of stationed watching for these trucks to go. So, the speculation there was that potentially they were trying to avoid scales possibly. And that's why they were driving in that direction and that he was gonna be, watching for them.
Isn't this bridge limited to 20 ton?
Well, that's,
They'd have to drive around.
they have to drive around or whatever, but they were coming right by us, John, up in,
Yeah, I just wonder if the former causeway makes more sense instead of coming across here.
I don't know, I
Just
mean,
from
the
a weight,
whole,
from a weight perspective.
yeah.
They can't handle, the bridge can't handle the
Yeah.
weight right now.
Anyway, all I know is that, after the complaint, they magically stopped going that way.
Next percentage of it. We'll make sure.
Oh, it was too late. We got it back.
I think that's, Joe, that was great work.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it was good for the residents to bring it up. Yeah,
100%.
It was great that you got contact back.
I was very impressed, to be honest with you.
Like, that's really impressive.
I can't remember if it was this year or council, but their like center, like their main center is here at the weigh scales, right? For all of the public service.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Great tour of that again.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. There's no additional comments. We'll move on to item number 12, notice of motions and resolutions, and item 12.1, town credit card provider.
So through the interim financing process for the fire hall, actually, the town also solicited a couple of submissions or proposals as it relates to our corporate credit cards or our town credit cards. Given the fact that our current provider solution has a number of challenges, mainly due to the fact that there are no corporate options that they can make available to us that have what I would say is now standard expectations of a credit card provider. Especially in the summertime, we are seeing huge inefficiencies and frustrations, I would say, with our current provider, in that as soon as one card reaches its max, it locks out the rest. If you pay immediately, it does not give you that, it doesn't reload the balance as if it would for a personal card. There's no way to see it instantaneously. You have to wait for statements. Like, there's a lot of archaic challenges that are presented with it. We did ask the current provider what other options are. And at the time, in particular now, I don't think that it would be publicly well accepted, considering that the card that they could offer those services would be through an American provider or counterpart. And in the summertime, that was not an ideal solution, especially given some of the conversations that are happening now. We are recommending that we go with a different provider based on those submissions in order to ensure that we can meet our current needs and have a more modernized solution. So with that, there's a recommendation on the floor, and then we can answer any specific questions that council might have.
I move that council authorize the clerk and mayor to apply for the RBC commercial card with a credit limit of 100,000.
Moved by Councilor Bannister, seconded by
Second.
Paul. Questions to the motion?
Was RBC the only avenue that's took? You didn't look at TD or anything else?
We looked at the ones that we invited for the fire hall, which was just on a by invite perspective. Plus the one that we are currently with, which was also invited through the interim financing option. But no, beyond that, we did not. That's why one of the alternatives is if we want to go out to a full procurement piece, we can certainly do that.
I'm just curious more than anything. I don't care one with the other.
Yeah, that's what, that's the reason that they're there. Is we invited the ones that we were inviting to the fire hall.
Now, if this meets the needs and requirements, then go for it.
I think it's a great idea.
Additional question? No question, additional questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Reminded, motion carried. Moving on to item 12.2, election of deputy mayor for 2025.
We can go over a little bit of process reminders first, only because it's been a year since we do it, and we only do it once a year. So in the CRF, council has the process. So essentially, the mayor will call for nominations for the position of deputy mayor, which changes on an annual basis. Councilors can then nominate a councilor for deputy mayor. Self-nominations are also permitted. The mayor will check with each nominee as to whether or not they will serve if elected. At the conclusion of the call, the mayor will call again 3 more times for any nominations. Once all nominations are received and accepted by the nominee, the mayor declares the nominations closed. Should there be more than one nomination, to enable council to make an informed decision on how to vote. Each nominee will have the opportunity, although not required, to say a few words. We ask that it not exceed 2 minutes in support of their candidacy. I don't think that's in the procedure bylaw, but that's the rule that we made last time, so that's the rule again. And then after all nominees have spoken, the mayor will call for the vote. The clerk will then call on each member of council to state the name of the candidate they choose, and the votes will be tabulated and the results will be read into the record. And then as soon as the majority of council presents votes for one candidate, that person will be named deputy mayor.
So with that, I call the floor nominations for deputy mayor.
I'd like to nominate Councillor O'Blemis.
Yeah,
Need a seconder for that?
I'll second it.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so moved by Councilor Thorne, seconded.
We don't need an actual motion yet, though.
No, not yet, because Now, in the process, I asked whether he wishes to
Right.
accept the motion. Sorry, I'm not talking about you in front of you. So would you accept the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, so Councillor Venus accepts the motion. I now call three more times.
Yeah.
We have a nomination from the floor for the role of deputy mayor. Once we have a calling for a nomination for the role of deputy mayor, 2025, twice. Third time, calling for a motion for deputy mayor. You noted I've done it 3 times. With that, what do you have to do?
Yeah, now we have to do it now.
Sorry, we're doing it once a year, right? So with that, no additional questions to the motion.
Do we have them?
No, now we don't have a motion. yet,
Now
so
I'll
now-
make-
You had one,
now-
but you said-
I'd like to move,
No, but it wasn't, that's not,
Okay,
that's
so
not
that's just-
actually a motion,
okay.
yeah.
I'd like to move that Councillor Oblinus be elected as deputy mayor for 2025-2026.
Second.
Second.
Vote.
So moved by Councillor Thorne, seconded by Councillor Bannister. Questions to the motion?
Do you promise to do the best job that you can possibly do?
I did that with a. Several years ago.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I got it wrong the last time.
I get defeated.
All right, so all in favor?
Uh,
Reminded?
yay.
So glad we didn't have to.
You have to go back. It's a great learning thing.
It is. It's gonna be
Experience. I
fabulous.
really
You're gonna do a
enjoyed
great
it.
job too.
You'll do a great job.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So moving.
That's
on.
awesome.
Item 12.3 Volunteer Awards Committee.
So this is just an update to the terms of reference for the Volunteer Awards Committee at the recommendation of, or sorry, the Volunteer Awards Committee terms of reference at the recommendation of the Volunteer Awards Committee, which is to add a category of the awards, but where they're stipulated in the terms of reference, we have to have a motion of council accordingly. I will mention that the motion itself is updated. So it's supposed to be that the recommendation is that council adopt the revised terms of reference for the Volunteer Awards Committee and add the 6th award category. So it is correct in the memo on eScribe, but in your recommendation sheet, it is not. But that is the gist of it. So there's that recommendation on the floor.
I will move that council adopt the revised terms of reference for the volunteer awards committee and add the 6th award category. Seconded.
So moved by Councillor Colwell, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Do we have questions to the motion?
Nope.
So this is not the same as so it's over 18. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great suggestion.
It is. Well done.
We'll look over the,
Your name?
Your name's on there.
I moved it. It was my idea. I take no credit.
Okay, we'll give all the credit to John. Any additional questions? No additional questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
That's contagious.
Sorry.
No, I've been doing it for 20 minutes. I've been up since 3:22, so.
Just one motion.
Yeah, for that one. Yeah.
So moving on to item 12.4, policy housekeeping amendment.
So there's 2 items in here from policies that were adopted in 2022, actually, that are housekeeping amendments that are denoted in red. There's a 3rd that's coming as well, at our, it'll be our March meeting, related to the FAR program. So that will have another housekeeping amendment. But this was just done as part of a standard review of our policies, to ensure that any housekeeping amendments were made. The one primary change that I'll mention in the financial management and procurement policy was, with respect to what was discussed at our December 30th meeting, or one of our special meetings in December, where we discussed some of the challenges of going by invite for capital construction projects, and just using MBON for those, given some of the challenges that we have had securing or actually getting bids when we solicit them by invite. So there are 2 separate motions, and 2 recommendations that we adopt the revised policies.
I move that council approve the revised council chief administrative officer CAO policy.
Second.
So moved by Councillor Bannister, seconded by Deputy Mayor Oblinus.
Woo-hoo.
Oh.
Is that the?
I almost got myself caught on that one.
Petty? Yeah.
It's,
I'll mention on that one too, I forgot to mention, the primary change with that one is that we specifically spelled out the CAO can sign employment contract with employees, because we're formalizing all of those at the recommendation of Lauren. And it said that the CAO is responsible for employment matters, but generally we would have Diane sign them, we can't have her sign her own employment contract, so
Right.
Lauren has suggested that wording.
So we have the motion
That
for
process.
those, the clarification question,
sorry.
Councillor Cole.
I'm trying to remember which motion we were on.
CAO.
Yes,
Yeah.
12.4A.
I thought we were on the one about going up for tender, is that what?
That it's there, I explained that within the context of both, but yeah, I
Okay.
think, did we call for the vote on the first one?
No, we have not.
Okay, so,
On the,
CAO one is first.
yeah, so
okay, oh wait,
questions of the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Alright, so then moving on to 12.4.B,
B, yeah.
financial management and procurement policy.
Move the council approve the revised financial management and procurement policy.
Seconded.
So moved by Councillor Detory, seconded by Councillor Palant. Questions to the motion?
did we do that, I can't remember what it's, if it's RFSO, RFOS, like a request for operation, like services versus going out for tender, do we do that? Like where you can go get people,
You mean on retainers? Like standing offers? It's probably what it is, standing offers.
Mhm.
The only items that we use that for is with, generally like professional services like engineering, architect services. Those are pretty much the two that we use really, but, we are authorized to use those under provincial standing offers, so we can use those. They have a series of different services that municipalities are able to use,
Yeah.
as long as they're under those dollar values that they set for public bodies, yeah.
Any additional questions? No additional questions, all in favor? Reminded, motion carried. Moving on to item 12.5, RDC project 18493.
This is additional funding for an item that was done last year. We just needed to add it to the agenda this evening to make sure that we have time to submit it for RDC's year end on March 31st. So with that, there's a recommendation on the floor and it should show up on eScribe.
I'll move that council approve the funding agreement between the town of Salisbury and the Regional Development Corporation for project number 18493 and authorize the clerk and mayor to sign it and fix the corporate seal accordingly.
By Deputy Mayor Iglesias, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Councillor Thorne, seconded by Councillor Bannister. Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.